Hi there, I'm David Duncan. Well, in this episode, I want to look at another two wonderful films from the Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers collection. As previously mentioned, these films had Fred and Ginger singing and dancing to music by some of the greatest songwriters of the 20th century. Well, first up, we have music by Jerome Kern in the film adaptation of the highly successful stage play, Roberta. Roberta was based on the Broadway musical written by Otto Harbach, who also wrote the lyrics to the songs, all set to the wonderful music of Jerome Kern. The film was actually created for the stage star Irene Dunne and had RKO contract player Randolph Scott as her male suitor, but it also relegated Fred and Ginger once again to co-star status. But it really was the music that was the star of the show, with songs that included I Won't Dance, Smoke Gets in Your Eyes, I'll Be Hard to Handle, and Lovely to Look At, with lyrical contributions also by Dorothy Fields and Jimmy McHugh. The story has Fred and Randolph Scott as friends who are accompanying a band from the US over to Paris for a nightclub engagement.
We're the boys you hired to play at your cafe, the Wabash Indianians.
Indianians? Is this the same as Indians?
Yes, in a sense. You see, we don't wear our feathers in warm weather.
Here Fred meets up with Ginger, who's an old childhood friend, but is now pretending to be a Polish countess, and is a regular customer of a famous fashion house called Roberta's.
Well, if it isn't...
Pockets for huckleberry, n'est-ce pas?
Yes. And a couple of n'est-ce pas.
Randolph Scott's aunt is the owner, and Irene Dunne is the head designer. A rocky romance begins between the leads, whilst Fred and Ginger dance and sing along to the beautiful songs.
I won't dance, don't ask me. I won't dance, don't ask me. I won't dance, madam, with you. My heart won't let my feet do things they should do. You know what? You're lovely.
And so what? I'm lovely.
But oh, what you do to me. I'm like an ocean wave that's bumped on the shore. I feel so absolutely stumped on the floor.
Oh, but when you dance, you're charming and you're gentle. Especially when you do the continental.
But this feeling isn't purely mental. For heaven rest us, I'm not asbestos. And that's why I won't dance. Why should I? I won't dance. How could I? I won't dance, merci beaucoup. I know that music leads the way to romance. And if I hold you in my arms, I won't dance.
And while Fred and Ginger try to steal the show, it's Irene Dunne and her performance of the classic Smoke Gets in Your Eyes that is one of the main highlights. The film culminates in a fashion show with music that also features a young Lucille Ball in one of her early uncredited appearances.
Lovely to look at, delightful to know, and heaven to kiss. A combination like this
is quite my most impossible dream come true. Imagine finding a boy like you.
You're lovely to look at, it's thrilling to hold you terribly tight. For we're together, the moon is new, and oh, it's lovely to look at you.
Now, it's interesting to note that the original Broadway show that started in 1933 ran for over 290 performances and featured in one of the leading roles a very young Bob Hope. The show also featured in the cast up-and-coming Hollywood stars Alan Jones and Fred MacMurray. Well, next up for the team, we have perhaps their best remembered and most successful of their films together, as they sang and danced their way to one of Irving Berlin's best ever film scores in Top Hat. Featuring classic songs such as Isn't It a Lovely Day and Cheek to Cheek, it really didn't matter what the story was all about. But basically it centered around Fred playing the role of Jerry Travers, who's a well-known US musical dance star visiting England to star in a new show. Very much the bachelor, he professes his feelings to remain single with no strings attached.
Look here, young fellow, I think it's about time you found out for yourself.
Oh, you do?
I certainly do.
No thanks, Horace. In me, you see a youth who is completely on the loose. No yens, no yearnings, no strings, no connections, no ties to my affections. I'm fancy-free and free for anything fancy. No dates that can't be broken, no words that can't be spoken, especially when I am feeling romancy. Like robin on a tree, like sailor goes to sea, like an unwritten melody, I'm free, that's me. So bring on the big attraction, my decks are cleared for action, I'm fancy-free and free for anything fancy.
This attitude of his becomes unravelled once he meets the lovely Ginger. The next day, as they're trapped in a rainstorm, they find that regardless of the weather, it's still a lovely day.
Isn't this a lovely day to be caught in the rain? You were going on your way, now you've got to remain. Just as you were going, leaving me all at sea. The clouds broke, they broke, and oh, what a break for me.
Unfortunately, a case of mistaken identity causes Ginger to be under the assumption that Fred is already married, but not just to anyone. She thinks he's married to a friend of hers called Madge, played by Helen Broderick.
Cab, miss?
When a clumsy cloud meets a fluffy little cloud.
After finding out that Ginger has left England and travelled to Italy, Fred arranges to fly after her, but only after he's opened his new London show.
If you want this show to run 2 nights, get me a plane now.
What kind of a plane?
One with wings. Or I'll be there, putting down my top hat, mussing up my white tie, dancing in my tail.
Meeting up again in Italy, all the misunderstandings are settled and the happy couple dance away together.
Well, why didn't you tell me who you were?
After all, I mean, you never gave me very much of a chance.
Now the cast included familiar comedic character actors such as Edward Everett Horton, Helen Broderick, Eric Rhodes and Eric Blore. In Ginger Rogers' autobiography, she stated that Horton was a very humorous fellow and behaved in a comical manner all the time, even when the cameras weren't rolling. Helen Broderick would pull laughter out of mannerisms. Eric Blore's deadpan expressions were worth their weight in gold. And Eric Rhodes extracted his laughs from the idiotic lines of the character he was portraying.
But I am Bedini.
You got me there, pal.
Now Ginger also recalled that Fred Astaire, who was a well-known perfectionist, had a number of grievances during the production. A letter by Fred to the producer Pandro S. Berman stated, "I cannot see that there's any real story or plot to this script. The lead into Cheek to Cheek is hopeless at present, and the fact that Rogers slaps me in the face in 2 different episodes is certainly wrong."
How could I have fallen in love with anyone as low as you?
She loves me.
Well, the script wasn't the only thing that Fred Astaire was annoyed with. Ginger Rogers had asked the costume designer Bernard Newman to make a special dress for the Cheek to Cheek number. Covered in ostrich feathers, it was very unique and became one of the most famous dresses in film history, but not before a major confrontation.
Well, if Madge doesn't care, I certainly don't.
Neither do I. All I know is that it's heaven. I'm in heaven. And my heart beats so that I can hardly speak. And I seem to find the happiness I see when we're out together dancing cheek to cheek.
Both Fred and the director Mark Sandridge immediately saw the dress as a problem and tried to get Ginger to wear the white dress that she'd already worn in their previous film, The Gay Divorcee. Ginger's mother, who was on the set that day, insisted that if the dress goes, then so does Ginger. Finally, a compromise was made. They'd do a take with the feathered dress, but if it was too difficult to photograph, then she would have to wear something else. They completed a few takes successfully, with Fred cursing during the breaks and picking feathers off his tuxedo.
He found that the feathers were getting all over his tuxedo. And you couldn't see them. I mean, I dare you to see it if you run the film. What you can see is the feathers coming off as I dance. You see them float, but you don't see them on his clothes. But he saw them on his clothes. And he was furious. He didn't want his tuxedo. And I guess I couldn't blame him, but I had designed the dress, and I was going to wear it.
The next day at the screening of The Rushes, the director and Fred Astaire sat in silence as they watched the dance routine. When it was finished, they agreed that the first take was the best, then simply got up and walked out without mentioning anything about retakes, which pleased Ginger, but she was upset by the silent treatment that they gave her. However, 4 days later, Ginger received a gift and a note from Fred that said simply, "Dear Feathers, I love you." Top Hat was to be the saviour of RKO, making a profit of over $1.3 million. As with all of the Astaire Rogers musicals, it was filmed at RKO Studios, which was located on the corner of Melrose Avenue and Gower Streets in Hollywood. Today, the sound stages still stand, but are incorporated into the Paramount Pictures lot. The big white set was a highlight of the Astaire Rogers musicals and were filmed in stages 7, 8, 9 and 10 that, when combined together, made one of the largest film stages in the world. In Top Hat, this was where the big dance number, the Piccolino, was filmed, and was also the setting for Venice, complete with canals and gondolas. Well, Top Hat was a huge financial success, not only for RKO, but also for Irving Berlin and Fred Astaire, who had negotiated a 10% profit share, which would inspire him to continue his partnership with Ginger. And it's this we'll look at in the next episode of Fred and Ginger, Cheek to Cheek. I'm David Duncan. I'll see you then.